It has been said that there was no competitor to the Elgato Wave microphone, that no one's released anything that provides the same kind of features along with a similarly high quality USB condenser capsule. And I disagree. There's actually been a couple of microphones and we're going to be reviewing them soon. First and foremost, we have this one, which is the PreSonus Revelator. You may recognize that name from the audio interface that I actually switched to for my main microphone setup, the Revelator IO24. This is the Revelator USB condenser microphone, and this thing is pretty neat. I picked it up back in April to review and just haven't got around to it, and I feel kind of bad because it's a pretty cool mic, and I think it needs a little bit more attention. So in the box, you get a fairly straightforward package that we've seen time and time again with the EPOS B20, the HyperX Quadcast, the Blue Yeti, and so on. In that, you get a basic USB condenser microphone on a desk mount. This is one of the more robust desk mounts that comes with these kinds of microphones. Sits on your desk, run USB-C cable to your computer, headphone cable to your headphones, and you're good to go. It does include a breakout adapter to go from the 1/4 to 5/8 adapter for microphone arms and the like, but we just have it propped up here on the desk stand as we usually do. And it's a USB condenser microphone. Sounds pretty good. You also get a couple different buttons on the microphone itself. You do not get a polar pattern control, but you do get a preset button to cycle between presets. You get a volume knob for your headphone knob, or for your headphone volume that will also, you tap it in to mute your microphone. And then you have a monitor button to switch between like monitor settings, and if you hold it in, then you can adjust the gain for your microphone. So you don't have to do everything exclusively through software. They do give you some of the controls on the microphone itself, but the software suite is really where the meat and potatoes of what you can do is at. So let's talk about that. Specs wise, we're looking at 96 kilohertz 24-bit that it can operate at, which is pretty nice. Of course, 48 kilohertz and 16-bit is all you really need for streaming and the like, but it comes with the Revelator software with the universal control that I showed off previously with the IO24, and it's pretty much fully featured. This microphone has onboard processing that happens in the microphone, the same as the audio interface that I reviewed. So I have it raw right now, but I can enable the flat channel here. I can turn it on. It's on right now. They have different presets built in. This one is the broadcast preset. We've got female voice. We've got screamer. That one kind of peaked a little bit. We got screamer. We have slap echo. Not exactly sure what that does. That's the thing. And then we have Space Overlord. And then I can turn the whole thing off. Walking through the settings for the fat channel, you have the same thing that I showed in my IO24 video, so I recommend go watch that. I'm not going to be too redundant, but we've got a high pass filter, a noise gate, a compressor, and there's 3 different types of compressors: a standard, a tube compressor, and a FET-based compressor, so you can get some vintage sound to it. You got an EQ, again with 3 different types. You got standard, which is parametric EQ, which I absolutely love. I find it easier to work with. Then you have a passive and a vintage style EQ, and you can change the order, whether the EQ happens before or after the compressor, which is nice. You've got a limiter, and then you have additional vocal effects for delay and things like that. All of this is fully customizable, and it runs on the microphone. Huge win. This is one step up that this microphone has over a microphone like the Elgato Wave, because the Elgato Wave, to this day, still does not support VSTs. It's coming. It'll happen at some point, but there is no processing on the Elgato Wave, and that is something that, to me, holds it back in a big way that I have remained kind of disappointed in, and I've been told for over a year now that it's coming. They will get there at some point, but this isn't using VSTs. Now, you may be disappointed in that if you have specific VSTs you want to use, but all this processing happens on board on the microphone. Huge thumbs up from me. This is also set up to work on iPads and mobile devices as well, which is pretty neat. There are 3 pickup patterns that you can use here. This is the default cardioid one, which for most of my audience, the desktop streamers, you'd be using this mode because it rejects background noise and picks you up in the front. But there's also modes for omnidirectional to pick up everything in a room if you're doing a conference or a group chat or something, and the figure 8 mode if you have 2 people on opposite sides of the microphone for an interview. And I believe I can access those, in the software here. So this is, again, standard cardioid mode, and this is figure 8 mode, so you're going to hear a little bit more of my reflections off of the monitor behind me. And then this is omnidirectional mode, which picks up regardless of where you are moving around here. I'm going to leave it on cardioid because that's where it should be. Now, going beyond the onboard processing, you also have some virtual audio devices. Now, it's not going to be as robust or as thorough or even necessarily as useful for streamers, but I have found it to be mostly competent for me on the Revelator IO24 in that you have your microphone, you have 2 mixes, you have a monitor mix for your headphones, and then you have a separate main or stream mix to go out to your stream, to OBS, whatever you're using. and then you have 2 different loopback devices. Now these will run into, if you just access the main microphone device itself, it will loop back through those because it's supposed to play back to people that you're streaming to, but you can separate it out in your submixes here so that you have loopback going to one and not the other. So that gives you 2 additional output devices because you have your main headphone out and then you have loopback 1 and loopback 2, which you can then run your music, your game sound, what have you through, and mix those a little bit more effectively, and then just add the main or monitor mix to your streaming software. So you get some of that virtual audio cable software that Wavelink is included with the Wave XLR and the Go XLR provides and things like that. So while I think the upcoming Beacon mic is going to be more full-fledged for that, and I think for a lot of people the Wave XLR is going to be a little bit better, I still think for people who don't need to go all in on the hashtag streamer workflow, this is going to be pretty solid. And of course, like with a lot of their products, PreSonus is including some bundled software. You get Studio One Artist, you get Studio Magic plugin suite, and then you get Ableton Live Lite. Now, let's get to some comparisons to some similarly priced USB microphones. 3 rings for the Oven Kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their halls of stone, 9 for the mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. 3 rings for the Oven Kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their halls of stone, 9 for the mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. 3 rings for the Oven Kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their halls of stone, 9 for the mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. 3 rings for the Oven Kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their halls of stone, 9 for the mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. Now we'll do my talking while typing test, talking while typing on box royale switches, tippity tap, talking, clicking, tippity clocking. We got a talking while typing test, talking on box royale switches, talking while clipping, tipping, typing, clicking, tippity tap, tip, tip, tip. Talking while typing on box royale switches, talking while typing, talking while clicking, typing, tippity tap. Talking while typing on box royale switches, talking while clicking, typing, tippity tap, top, top. Alright, so most of this video that you've been hearing, the microphone has been raw and unprocessed, as I typically do. Let's go ahead and run a demo with using the FAT channel, how I would set up my post-processing to see how it would sound with a little bit of extra juice added in. This is a microphone test using the PreSonus Revelator with what I consider to be a fairly competent parametric EQ setup along with the rest of the FAT channel. I will have settings on screen as I do this in case you want to copy them for yourself. I cut the bass around 40 hertz. I cut around 225 hertz because that's where a lot of the muddiness I felt was, and then a slight cut in the mids again as usual, slight boost in the highs, slight boost in the lows. 3 rings for the Oven Kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their halls of stone, 9 for the mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. If you like it, you like it. Settings are on screen. I didn't have time to super fine tune this, but should sound a little bit better. Choosing audio gear is great to improve your setup, but you know what makes your content even better? Improving your actual skills with our sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an awesome online learning community where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. They have thousands of inspiring classes on topics such as productivity, film and video, what we're doing, photography, and even web, probably public speaking as well, but even web development. Skillshare is for beginners, pros, dabblers, and masters who want to improve their skill set or learn a new skill entirely. No matter your goals, Skillshare has classes to fit your schedule and skill level. If you want to do what I do, which means sometimes fumbling words in front of the camera, but usually doing a better job at it, check out the YouTube course from Marquez Brownlee, or MKBHD. It's got some good stuff in there. I enjoyed seeing how his team's workflow works as well. The first 1,000 people to sign up with my link in the video description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare Premium, so don't miss out, check it out. Overall, in terms of the raw sound, I find this microphone to be a little bit muddy, at least for my deeper, kind of boomier voice here. But that's fairly easy to compensate with using that parametric EQ and just doing a little bit of EQ work. I think it works out. And compared to some of the other USB mics we've reviewed, which come out a little tinny or a little too boomy or whatever, I think it falls right in the middle. Now, it does run a little bit more expensive than the sale prices of most of the other USB microphones we look at run, especially the Elgato Wave. So it's really kind of a toss-up what you would actually prefer which is why I include these comparisons. Honestly, I think we're at a point where finally USB microphones are in such a good place that it's actually pretty difficult to go wrong with some of these better, like $100, $150, $180 microphone price points. It's really hard to go wrong with one. So listen to the samples that I have given. Go check out my other reviews of the similar microphones, playlist link in the video description, and decide for yourself. But really, you're in a good place with whatever you get. And I think PreSonus, with the built-in processing, offers a leg above the rest for those who want that extra effect without having to run it in software or figure out VSTs or whatever. It's all right here in the software. Hope you enjoyed. Product links will be in the description below as always. By the way, if you want to win this very microphone for yourself, I'm going to be doing a giveaway event over the next few months called Strimsmas. For those of you who are streamers. I know it's a dumb name, but I'll be giving away a ton of streaming gear because I feel the past couple years have been really tough just on everyone in general, and especially with the product shortages and people hurting financially and stuff. Meanwhile, everyone's getting so into the live streaming and content creation, and I happen to be in a good enough position where I happen to have a small hoard of streaming related gear, and I want to give it to you. So this year I'm giving out a ton of stuff: microphones, capture cards, all sorts of stuff. We will have more updates in our Discord, discord.gg/EposVox. Go check that out. I'm putting this at the end of the video, so those of you who stay to the end will actually get to find out, and you'll get to find out first over on our Discord. We're going to have giveaways almost every week starting very soon, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, otherwise, remember, be kind, rewind.